All right, welcome TWiP listeners. I'm really pleased to be joined today by Gerard Murphy. Gerard Murphy is the CEO and co-founder of a company called Mosaic. Welcome to This Week in Photo.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Bruce. Nice to be on the show. I'm a big fan.
Appreciate it. Thanks for taking some time out to talk to the TWiP audience today and tell us a little bit more about the Mosaic service. We'll get into that. So, first, I just wanted to maybe start out by those who maybe aren't familiar with Mosaic or aren't haven't met you before or know about you. Maybe give us a little bit of the elevator pitch about Mosaic and what it's all about.
Yeah, happy to. Mosaic has two products. I mean, basically, what we are in the business of is helping photographers better enjoy their photos, and that comes in really two flavors for us. Access the photos more easily, and make sure that the backup process happens automated and in the background. So we have two products. Our first product is Mosaic View, and Mosaic View has a free component and a paid component. Mosaic View gives you instant, anywhere, automatic access to any image you put into Lightroom. So if you make a change in your Lightroom library, you add a photo to your Lightroom library, it automatically goes up to our cloud, and you can view it on our app. So you can view it on your iPad, on your iPhone, on your Android tablet, on your second browser on your computer. So you have instant access to all of your photos. The free version is your most recent 2,000 images. And we have paid versions starting at $7 that give you sort of access to thousands and thousands of your photos.
Great.
So you're able to get access to almost any of your work instantly, automatically, without having to use exports, without having to use published services.
Nice. So it's Lightroom in the cloud, essentially.
Lightroom in the cloud. Yep. No development features, so you can't develop on your iPad, but you're able to have instant access to anything in the library module, your collections, your folders, from our app, without pushing, without exporting, without doing anything.
Great.
So it's a free download, so nothing to really lose. So give it a try. Our second option is Mosaic Archive. And Mosaic Archive takes your originals, your raw photos if you shoot in RAW, or your JPEGs if you shoot in JPEG. It takes your original photos and backs them up to the cloud as well. So we are an online backup service, and we are geared towards photographers and are, again, integrated with Lightroom. So you can put all your photos into the backup, and we have prices starting at $12 a month for 400 gigs. So definitely one of the best deals in the cloud out there for photographers.
Great. So tell us a little bit about maybe a bit of the history of the company. How did the Mosaic come to be? Whose brainchild was it, and where did it all start?
Well, I started it with my co-founder Andy Young. He's our CTO now. We started this back about 2 years ago. The story goes that Andy and I were both working in other startup companies where we'd both been happy. We've both been into photography and been shooting together since we were in high school. So going back 20 years, Andy and I have known each other since 7th grade, which is over 20 years ago now. We'd been friends, and we said we were having a beer and talking about how do you manage your photos. You use Lightroom. Yeah, I use Lightroom, and how do you get access to them? How do you export them? How do you back them up? And we started realizing that it wasn't as easy as we thought. I mean, we're two fairly technical guys, and we were struggling with the concept of the catalog and how do you back up that catalog and where do your edits go. And we said, that there seems like some pain here, right? And so we can go off and we can build something to try to alleviate this pain and make it easier for photographers. So that conversation happened in November of I guess 2009. And by March we had formed the company, and we were off and running. So our backup product has been on the market now for about I guess a year and a half. Mosaic View just recently got launched. Our iPad app most recently got launched in August. So since then we've been really growing. We've been hiring some folks. We've been sort of expanding pretty quickly and going from there. So it's been a fun ride.
Excellent. You and I talked a little bit about, I thought this was a really neat analogy of the music world, and you see a real correlation there between what happened in the music industry with digital music and photography, and this move into this digital era of photography. Maybe tell us a little bit about that. I thought that was an interesting take on things.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about this a lot of we seem to forget that digital photography is actually fairly new as far as this stuff goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's been around for a relatively short amount of time. And so we have to look at other industries that have gone through this sort of similar transition and look for analogies. And one really, really obvious one is music, right? And we started to have MP3s a couple of years before we started to have really, where digital photography started to really take off. And I always say that we're sort of in the iTunes era for photography. And what I mean by that is that, if we remember back when we had MP3s and in Napster days, we would download an MP3, we'd use something like a Winamp, we'd open the file, we would play that song, and we'd maybe make a quick playlist on a Winamp, and we'd move on. Then iTunes came along. And iTunes, I relate a lot to Lightroom and its ability to sort and search, and Aperture has a very similar feel, right, where you can go and you can find your stuff more easily. What came along with iTunes was the iPod. And photography, for whatever reason, hasn't actually had its version of the iPod, where everything instantly that you have in your iTunes library shows up on your iPod. That's sort of what Mosaic View is trying to do, is saying, well, anything you put into Lightroom, we're going to give you instant access to it from anywhere. And I think that's really interesting, right? Is that we've in photography we've given ourselves very limited access to stuff, and we think that that's okay. And I remember back to the days when I had a mix CD. I had a mix CD in my car, had my 18 favorite songs on it. I thought it was awesome. When I got sick of those songs, I would burn a new CD. That's the similar way we treat photography, right? We'll push up our favorite photos at the moment to 500px. We'll push them up to our SmugMug website. We'll push them to Zenfolio. We'll put, wherever we push them, to Facebook, Twitter, Google+. We push our best stuff up there, and then that's the only access we seem to have, or we even think about. What we're saying is that, well, just like in a mixed CD, these might be my 18 favorite songs, but I might want to listen to that Bruce Springsteen B-side every once in a while. Mm-hmm. That's what we're trying to get to. I think where photography is going next, we can still look at music. I think one of the couple of the big trends that's been happening in music are two companies, both Pandora and Spotify. And what do I mean by that? Pandora takes things that we like about photography, music, and it says, you like this type of stuff, and you feel like you're in this type of mood. Let me find songs that you would like. Spotify starts to put all of this in the cloud, where we have no desktop client, and we're able to make much more social decisions based on our friends' musical choices. And what can we learn about that in the photography realm? Well, in the photography realm, we all are having this volume problem. We're all having this, I have thousands and thousands of photos, and our workflow is becoming much more challenging because we've gone are the days of the film canister where you're sort of limited by your number of exposures on a roll of film. So we need more intelligence. What we're doing right now is adding stars and flags and keywords to try to do stuff, and that's time consuming. It's difficult. It's not always the most accurate way of doing stuff. And I think that there's going to be a huge potential, and this is one of the things that we're working on in the future, of adding even more intelligence to try to help folks find the right photo that they're looking for at the right moment, both by integrating with social media and by adding algorithms to the cataloging features themselves to try to help folks find that right photo.
So sort of looking at enhanced search capabilities to dig in and get at the photos that you're looking for.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I think filtering and searching are just the tip of the iceberg, right? I mean, I think one idea that we've had is that right now I put into Facebook that I was married on December 31st, 2004. I didn't necessarily keyword my photos in Lightroom as being my wedding photos that happened on that date. We should be able to pull data back from our social media lives and push them into our photos, and vice versa. Even something as simple as sorting by the number of likes we had on Facebook within Lightroom itself is right now not terribly intuitive or even possible. It gets sort of possible depending on how you shared. But that idea of adding intelligence to our catalog so that we can find stuff more easily is I think, a pretty big one.
Yeah, I know one of the things that really appealed to me about the service was the ability to be able to view multiple catalogs at one time. As a wedding and event shooter, I maybe am a little different than maybe a typical hobbyist photographer who maybe just has one catalog for all their images. I have, a separate catalog for every single shoot that I do. And so being able to manage and see all those in one place was certainly a key feature of Mosaic Archive that I really, or the Mosaic View that I really liked. That really appealed to me about the service. Just one centralized place that I can quickly view all these different catalogs without having to go into Lightroom and jump back and forth. So, who do you see as kind of your primary target audience for the service itself? Is it pros? Is it hobbyists? Is it a mixture?
I think it's a mixture. I mean, I think right now we skew a little bit more towards the pros. I think we're becoming more popular with the prosumers. I think that the use cases are slightly different. I think that at the upper end of the volume problem are wedding photographers like you, right? Yeah. Just take a ton of photos, right? Yes. And as you said, you would have a multiple catalog scenario. And the ability to look across those catalogs just to find trends and say, I'm just looking for anything marked 4 stars or higher across all my catalogs is valuable in itself. And your goal is to, sit down with the client, launch a collection, and be able to sort of sort through it with them in real time. That might be different than the aims of a prosumer. The prosumer, and I'm a prosumer photographer. I've never made a living off of photography. My goal is that when someone mentions, hey, I'm going to Argentina, and I say, I've been there, can I show you my travel photos? That opportunity to me is like gold. And I love breaking out my iPhone or my iPad and showing people my old photos. And so my goal is not to sell, but to just help, have a way that I can experience my photos with other folks. So I see ourselves as probably being, a little bit more geared towards the pros and the prosumers. But I also think that the market is expanding. And what I mean by that is that, you can see this in Lightroom in itself, of that as more and more people take thousands of photos, the power of Lightroom, of the catalog piece, of being able to organize things, becomes much more relevant to everyday shooters. So while I see us being a pro and a prosumer type of company, I do think that there's going to be more people that fall into that mix as we go forward.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because there's a lot of online photo services out there. You've got Flickr, obviously Facebook is one of the largest photo services out there right now.
Facebook has gone on the record, and this is part of that lovely Instagram transaction that happened recently. It's saying that they view what they are as a mobile photo sharing service. That's what they sort of put, which I find really interesting, because that's what people find the most interesting is most people are viewing Facebook on mobile devices, and most people are viewing photos. So it's an interesting way that they've turned that on its head a little bit, saying we're not a social network, we're a mobile photo sharing service.
Mm-hmm. Do you see yourselves kind of in that same space, or do you see yourselves as being a bit different from that?
I think we're a little bit different. I mean, I don't think we are. We're definitely not right now a public gallery. We're not looking to be the place where people go, like Flickr, like 500px, like Facebook, where you can share with your friends. We're much more of an internal tool where you have access to your own stuff so that you can view them. And whether that's sitting in bed and looking at the weekend's photos, whether that's reminiscing with friends because you have old pictures. One little story, and so I hesitate to tell it, but I was in New York recently for Photo Plus, and my grandfather is a little ill. He's got Alzheimer's. Oh. I was sitting with him, and I had my iPad, and I searched for photos I had of him. And I happen to have a lot of photos of my grandfather because he's pretty special in my life. And I had an opportunity to just sit and go over old photos with him. Mm-hmm. I didn't bring my laptop. I hadn't prepared for that moment. I just brought up my iPad because I had that with me, and we looked at old photos. That type of thing is what we're looking to help people do. It's not really a public gallery where you're going to send your friends to it and they're going to +1 it, they're going to like it. We're much more about giving you access to your own stuff. The average household today has 5 internet connected devices, and that's growing. But yet we sort of have our photos on one machine, and that seems somewhat old fashioned to me. So what we're trying to say is, yeah, you have your photo, your main Lightroom catalog on one machine, but you have access to it from all your devices in your own household.
What made you pick Lightroom instead of, say, Aperture? Is that a conscious decision, or was it just that was the tool that you liked working with? And
I think it's a little bit of both. It certainly was the tool we like working with. Although I'm not against Aperture. I like Aperture. Lightroom and Adobe, by far, from a technologies platform standpoint, is more open than Apple. So from a technical hurdle, it's actually much easier to do Lightroom than to do Aperture. Also, Aperture and iPhoto, as they move towards sharing a library now, they're integrated more with the photo stream, whereas Adobe has none of this sort of in the works.
Right.
Their Creative Cloud is more of a subscription model than a cloud service, which is fine. Nothing against that. It's what it is. What it is. So we decided that there was much more of an open market there. Also, right now Mosaic is for Mac only. Lightroom works on a Mac and a PC, so we definitely want to be ready for a Mac and a PC, and we hope to be within the next sort of month and a half or so. Mm-hmm. And so there's going to be a bigger market for us to be Mac and a PC in that way.
Great. Well, we're kind of doing this interview today over Skype, and what we're able to do is record some of the video of this. Maybe do you want to take us through the service a little bit? And what we'll do is we'll include this in the blog post for this episode, so people can see the video and see a little demo of the site. But for those who are maybe want to learn a little bit more about the service, take us through here and just tell us a little more how the service itself works.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you guys Mosaic View today, since it's the free download and it's the one that's probably the most popular at the moment. I'm showing a quick catalog I made. Actually, I made this one out at Photoshop World out in Vegas a couple months ago. And the basic way it works is that you just use Lightroom. It's really hard to explain that because it's really pretty simple and straightforward. If you use Lightroom, you're actually using Mosaic View in the background. So what happens, and people can't really see this at the podcast, but if I take this photo and I add something like 3 stars to it, what's going to happen is that we have a Lightroom plugin that comes with our download. And it's going to say syncing catalog with Mosaic up in the upper left-hand corner where you usually see the import and export types of dialogues. Mm-hmm. We also have a desktop daemon which runs in the background, which says synchronized one photo at 141. As you can see, it's 141 now here when we're recording this. So that basically said, okay, you've changed this photo. We've noticed that. We've uploaded it to the cloud. And if I go here to my browser, and I go here to say sort by 3-star or better, this lovely photo I took will be there. So you can see that it's going to come up there, and there it is, a beautiful photo I took of some water.
Some water balls. Fabulous.
Water balls. Beautiful photo. I know. The composition is phenomenal. You're right on the web app. The same folder structure that you have in Lightroom is there, as well as your collections are there. So if you have a collection in Lightroom, say I have this collection called Pictures of Joe, that'll pop up here. Apparently there's 3-star pictures of Joe in there. So here's a couple pictures there. And if I go back to Lightroom and I go to my collections and say Pictures of Joe, the same pictures are there. So you add a photo to a collection, it goes into Mosaic View. If I make a development edit, it goes into Mosaic View. It's really pretty intuitive and easy to go, easy to do.
Great. So it's basically just pushing up the XML sidecar changes to those files. That's kind of what's happening.
We're doing something a little bit different. We're not taking the full sidecar file. We're just taking the information we need. We're just taking the stars and flags and keywords, pushing them up there. Okay. We are also taking a JPEG preview of the file. So this is not uploading the full raw file up to us. We're taking the JPEG preview, which enables us to take the edits. So if I just take this lovely photo of the water bottle we saw before, I'm going to do the typical demo thing of turning it into a black and white image. So I'll take it into it and give it bad black and white image. And if I go back to library, what's going to happen in a second is that it's going to notice that something changed. In a second, it'll upload that black and white image. And then if I go back to the web app in a second, it'll be there. So I'm obviously showing you this on a desktop or on a laptop right now. You can get to us from an iPad. We are pretty much optimized for the iPad. And so you can go to our website and log in from there. We do hope to be in the App Store soon, but right now we are a web app. So go to our website, log in from there, and you can view everything.
Great. So that's kind of the view side of the product. How about the archive side of the product? How does that piece work?
Well, the archive side of the product works for right now. We're in a little bit of a transition. Right now, our archive side of the product, you add folders and you back up by folders.
Okay.
So say I want to back up my pictures folder. I want to back up my Drobo. I want to back up my my 2012 folder. We are working on a new version, which we hope will be available in about 4 weeks. That'll be the same code base as our Mosaic view. And it'll also allow you to back up by collection, which I'm pretty excited about. And what we mean by that is that, if you're a regular photographer, maybe not as good as you, Bruce, but, for the rest of us mortals here, you might miss every once in a while. You might take a bunch of bracketed shots where you really only care about backing up the original good one, right? The one you have. And we all have different ways of cataloging that: stars, flags, keywords. What we're going to allow people the ability to do is back up by metadata from right within the Lightroom collection.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, trust me, every shot I take is not a prize winner, so having that capability would be fantastic.
So the idea is that, cloud storage is going to be more expensive than buying a regular drive on your disk. We try to be as inexpensive as we can, but it still is, right? And that's really because we're doing it in a redundant way in a really nice data center that has redundant power, redundant backup, and it's done in a RAID type of environment where we're backing up to multiple drives, and all the power that goes into that and all the other good stuff that goes into running a cloud storage company. And so we realized that you might not want to pay for all those bracketed shots. So the easiest way to do that for us is that if you can tell us how you keep track of your stuff. Maybe some people use pick flags. That's great. Some people use stars. That's great. So if you say, I want to back up my most recent stuff, my last 6 weeks, because I might not have keyworded them or cataloged them yet. I also want to back up anything with a pick flag. We're going to actually go into your Lightroom catalog and automatically back up the originals for you.
Very neat.
And then that will be also integrated with Mosaic View. So if you go to our web app and then you want to download the original from there, you'd be able to just log into your app and be able to download the original from anywhere in the road.
Great.
We're also going to do...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, didn't mean to. The last part about that is how you get your images back. And because of the unique way that Lightroom keeps a catalog, we realized that if you lost your Drobo fell off the side of your table, you lost your laptop, well, actually putting your catalog back together can be challenging. So on our restore features, when you restore, you actually just are able to say, we're going to rewrite your Lightroom catalog to be able to say, you put them back here, okay, everything is back in working order.
Interesting.
So again, very, very Lightroom centric and very much catered towards the way that photographers, work.
That's great. Yeah, it sort of avoids having to go through exporting and uploading separately to another service. It just kind of all automatically happens in the background as you're working away.
That's the idea. I think a lot of people will ask us things like, I'm just going to put you back on full screen here. A lot of people will ask us stuff like, well, can I control... now I just see pictures of you. Pictures of yourself. Screen sharing is never easy on this.
No.
Can I control what gets pushed up to the cloud? And that always sounds good in theory, we think. Can you control which ones go up there? The problem with that is that we always forget, right? We have these ambitions of trying to do something, like, oh, I'm going to push this stuff up to Flickr, I'm going to push this up to, I'm going to update my website, and a lot of us forget. So we decided that we're going to make it automated and work in the background and allow people to search and sort for the stuff they really want.
So what sort of plans do people have choices of with the Mosaic product? Obviously, I'm sure all this information's up on your website, but maybe just give a kind of brief overview of what some of the different plans and kind of what sort of cost people would be looking at.
Sure. So for Mosaic View, we have a free plan, and it's your most recent 2,000 images. So what that means is it's sort of a rolling cliff, right? You take more images, your older ones fall off, and your new ones are always there.
So similar to like the iCloud service, what they offer.
Correct. Yep. So your iCloud is your most recent 1,000. So we basically give you double what you get in the iCloud. And we also give you the ability to sort and search in Lightroom, which the iCloud doesn't sort of integrate with Lightroom. So twice the space of iCloud for free. We then have paid plans, and our paid plans today are for $7 a month. You can synchronize a 20,000 image catalog. For $15 a month, you can synchronize a 110,000 image catalog. And for $24 a month, you can get an unlimited catalog of images. So if you have 1 million photos, 2 million photos, we don't really care. $24 a month, you have everything for you. For Mosaic Archive, our plans are for $12 a month. You will get 400 gigs. For $14 a month, for $43 a month, you get 2 terabytes. And for $99 a month, you get 5 terabytes.
So lots of storage.
Lots of storage. We have bigger plans for larger studios if you'd like as well.
Great. And you've been generous to offer our TWiP listeners a little discount on any of the products as well, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So if you put in the coupon code TWiP, TWiP, in the checkout, you'll get a 20% discount on any of our services. That's good for any of our plans. Also, if you pay annually, you already get 2 months free. So basically, you pay for 10 months and you get 12 months. The 20% discount also works on that. So that would be your best bargain if you're looking for a good deal.
Great. That's great. So what's ahead for Mosaic? Where do you see things in the next, say, 6 months? So without giving away too many trade secrets or.
Yeah, no, we're pretty open with our customers. We try to be. We have a pretty active sort of social media presence too. So please check us out there. But the couple things we're working on are coming up, pretty soon. We're sort of testing that right now, is integrating the archive piece to what we're talking about. So changing it from being the folder structure to being the metadata structure within Lightroom. Then we're hopefully coming out with a Windows version before Christmas. And they'll be both Mosaic Archive and Mosaic View will be available for Windows at that point. And then what we're pretty excited about for the early spring is a two-way metadata sync with your iPad. And what that means is that you'd be able to rate, star, flag, keyword, anything you can do in a library module, you'd be able to do from your iPad, and you'd be able to get that back into your Lightroom catalog automatically and easily.
Great.
And so you can bring you can sit down on your couch and you can rate your photos while watching, sort of a movie. That's sort of the idea.
Very nice. Exciting. Yeah. So what's the current state? You reached some significant milestones in the last little while.
We've been growing pretty fast in the last couple of weeks. So as I said, we launched Mosaic View in early August, and since then, I think a couple of weeks back, we announced that we had over 1 million photos in our database. Now we're actually well over 2, so that's happened pretty quickly in the last couple of weeks. So we're over 2 million photos, and I think it's probably easy to say that we have the world's largest collection of Lightroom photos right now, sort of in our database, which is pretty awesome.
That's fantastic. Well, Gerard, I really want to thank you for taking the time out today to talk to the TWiP audience. I know lots of our listeners use Lightroom, and so I think this will be certainly something for them to take a look at. Certainly, I've been using it for a while, and it's a very useful service. I like to say the big thing for me was just that ability to see all my various catalogs in one place and be able to do that on my iPad or iPhone or laptop or desktop. Certainly a huge convenience. So thanks for setting us up with that for sure.
Well, thank you, Bruce, and again, I'm a big fan of the show. So keep up the good work on your end. I mean, you and Frederick and all the rest of the crew. It's a great show. So I really appreciate all the knowledge you guys bring to us.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Maybe we'll catch up with you again in a few months down the road and kind of see where things are at with Mosaic.
Sounds great. Look forward to it then.
Great. Thanks,
All right,
Gerard.
thanks, Bruce.